Hey everybody, welcome to the NASM Success Live webinar. Today we're going to be doing our third webinar, so we're super excited to have you. We'll just give a few moments here to allow some extra time for people to log in, and then we'll get started with everything as well. My name, again, is Greg French. I'm a certified personal trainer and program advisor here with NASM and AFA.
My name's Jamie Johnson. I'm also a program advisor for NASM and AFA, and I'm a group fitness instructor as well. Thanks for joining us today, you guys.
Yeah, super excited. Also, please make sure you stay tuned to the very end. Just like the other webinars, we will be doing a raffle at the very end for a 6-pack bag, which if you're on the screen, you can see the picture of the actual bag you'll be receiving as well. Remember, in order to win, you got to stay logged into the very end.
While we are waiting for a few people to join in, we're going to go over just a few etiquette. We've got a way for you to expand. If you look at the tops of your screen, you've got an X, an orange box that you can expand the view. We're going to have a Q&A at the end of our live webinar, so if you have any questions, we'll get to it. If we don't answer your questions right away, we'll get a response back to you within the next 48 hours. At any point during this live webinar, when you are available and you have any additional questions and you want to talk with someone on the phone, we've got our program advisor team standing by. You'll see the 888 number located at the bottom of your screen. You can call and speak with one of our advisors directly.
And then we do have a special going on for you guys as well, which we'll dive into a little bit later on. But for now, we'll just get started. We'll send out a quick poll. Looks like we are getting more people logged in here. And again, we'll give you a little bit more time for this poll here, but really, Jamie and I want to know why are you here today, and how can we best help you moving forward and growing your brand, making more money? Obviously, I think that's the name of the game, is how can you make more money in the almost the least amount of time worked. So we'll give you a couple minutes to answer the questions below, and we'll go from there. I think definitely the difference on understanding between small group personal training versus group exercise in a class environment is definitely a unique topic, but also a unique venture for personal trainers, group X instructors to go on for maximizing your time, maximizing your pay, and benefits you receive from that as well.
We're going to talk about the differences between the two, how you can expand and grow into each one of these opportunities for your business, and make sure you provide us feedback. If y'all have any questions, we'd love to hear.
All right, so we'll go ahead and end that first chat, and then we'll take a look at the results and go from there. All right.
We see some responses here. It looks like an overwhelming response is y'all want to be more versatile in the fitness industry and be able to branch out. It's a great way to do it. We're going to talk about how. Close second, find out more ways to make more money. Overall goal is how do we build in the revenue and the income for you and to grow your business. So great way to do that. We're going to discuss those as well.
Yeah, and I think we'll kind of takes us right into the next slide here. We'll talk about growing your brand. So those of you that want to be more versatile in the fitness industry, obviously there's multiple different ways of doing that. But now we'll talk about how can you be efficient in that, because we all know time is very valuable, especially if you're in one facility or if you're independent. How can you maximize that? Like me personally, I was a full-time personal trainer in a big box facility. My schedule was very full. I had a couple, I think it was like 10 and 11 o'clock time slots I couldn't fill throughout the week. So I actually started teaching group exercise classes by default, because what better way to network and build, for lack of a better term, this funnel of 30 people every Tuesday, every Thursday, that then I can build relationships with. I can talk about their goals. Why are you coming to group X classes? How can I help? Let's schedule some assessments. And ultimately, I picked up a couple clients and filled those time slots. And then I also realized that group X training wasn't quite for me, which we'll talk about a little bit later. So I decided to go the small group personal training to maximize those time and fill up my schedule and obviously make more money in the process.
For me, when I began my fitness career, I was a mother and took my daughter to a dance studio and realized there were moms just sitting there for the hour wanting to work out. And so I started holding classes in an empty room at the dance studio. And that's kind of how I realized real quick I had a knack for motivating, encouraging, and I love to be in front of a crowd and lead a group for exercise. So that's kind of how I got started.
Awesome. And we actually have another poll for you here as well.
All right, so let's ask who already has the personal training certification that's with us today. We've got a quick little poll here.
And I think this kind of goes back to that second most popular answer in that in the polls, how can I make more money? For those of you that are certified personal trainers, I'm sure it's a common question. How can I make more money? So we're going to talk about, again, the most different and effective ways on how to go about doing that. So it can be small group personal training. It can be group exercise classes in a set time, day, etc. So we'll kind of interested to see how these come back. I will just give a couple more seconds here.
So it looks like this is the poll that they're seeing right now.
Yep. All right, so we'll go ahead and end that poll and see kind of what these results come back as, and we can go from there. All right, so you want to work with multiple clients at the same time, followed by, actually, I guess that one's overwhelmingly kind of the winner there. And
right.
then second after that is sell more products and services to my clients, which I think is obviously the very important factor here is how can you make sure you're always providing that unparalleled experience for your clients or your group attendees. So definitely thank you for sharing that. We'll dive into that here as well in a moment.
All right, we've conducted some surveys and we did some interviews and found that the top 3 income sources for the fitness industry are personal training, number 1, group exercise as a fitness instructor, number 2, and then small group personal training, close third. And that usually 2 to 4 range for the amount of participants.
Yeah, and I think one of the things here to take away is how can you be more versatile, how can you make more money, how can you expand your offerings to your clients as well. Like my example, I was a trainer in a big box facility, so we had all of these ancillary services under one roof where I would go and talk to the group X instructors and say, hey, can I walk around your class? Can I help correct form? Can I interact? And then I started teaching those classes, which I quickly found out I was more of the 2 to 4 individual person was kind of my max. So I went small group personal training where I was able to have, a couple small groups per week and charge a little bit lower rate, but have, 3, 4, or 5 people at one time. So it allowed me to build a network, also talk to those clients who I really wasn't able to grab as a client because they couldn't afford the full hour rate. So definitely take these top 3 into consideration when we talk about growing your brand, your key benefits of it. And again, we look here as exposure, prospecting, reach, branding, time, and obviously income from that. Would you have anything to add?
I have students who take my class who have personal training sessions prior to coming to my cardio classes. So it's a great way for, if you have any opportunities to network and market, that would be overall the biggest benefit of just hopping into a group class. There's so many participants that don't expand over onto the fitness floor or the other side of the gym, lack of knowledge and experience, maybe a little shy, not just curious about how it all works. But when you build relationships in a group setting, you start to see that there's people who really do have a need for the service that you offer as a personal trainer. They just don't know where to go and how to start it. So we're trying to show you guys the opportunities that are out there as a way for you to expand and grow and market yourself. Even if you had a class that had 35, 45, 50 people and you got 5 additional clients after exposing yourself, that's still additional revenue for you for a personal training business.
Yeah, I think Jamie hit the nail on the head is how can you get the maximized exposure? But think of it like, I think I remember talking to members all the time that they were just, the answer they gave me was, I'm intimidated by the weight room. I have no idea what to do. So I just come in and I just turn right and I go straight to the group X room. So if you're a trainer, get in that group X room, get into some small group and really showcase your talents to people that otherwise would not even bother coming up to you. So it's a great way to expand your reach and then obviously the income from that as well. We do have one additional poll we want to follow up with here is, have you ever worked with groups before? And we're kind of curious to see what you guys have so we can best steer you in this direction moving forward. I know working with groups is definitely fun, but nerve-wracking as well. I know Group X, I got a little overwhelmed with the timing, the beats, the music, so realize not my cup of tea, but.
I love it. I have no problem in front of 100 people at a time,
Yeah. I think the small group is definitely where I found my calling, where I can take that one-on-one focus and just really focus on 4 people at a time or 3 people at a time, create almost that boot camp feel. Quick, I only have 30 minutes to come in during my lunch break. Great, let's get a group together. Let's bang out the workout. Off you go.
I use my sister as an example a lot when talking to my students about the opportunities for group. She lives in South Texas and does an outdoor boot camp, and she's been involved for almost 6 years. Just a neighborhood, one of the local personal trainers in the neighborhood holds these outdoor boot camp classes, and they're unconventional. They're not in a gym setting. They're outdoor. They charge a flat fee for the month, and my sister loves it. They start early in the morning. Yeah, it's a fun opportunity for you as a trainer.
Awesome. All right, let's wrap up this poll here and see the results we got. All right, so it's like a close. So
Right.
never worked with groups and have experienced and formal training certification. And then for those of you, yes, have experienced no formal training, have no fears. Hopefully by the end of today, you'll have the best idea of how to plug yourself into kind of which bucket is going to be best from you, and then how we can go from there. So the next one we're going to talk about is obviously I guess the number one reason is how can you make more money? What's the earning potential? Just to give you guys a quick little scenario. Now these are numbers that we just kind of put together to give you an idea of what this can look like. The earning potentials of a one-on-one, personal trainer is ranging between 35 to 55, per session, depending on what facility you work at, how that works out, and obviously, maybe 45 plus per hour if you're an independent trainer, kind of doing your own thing, kind of like in your sister's case.
Mm-hmm. And, obviously group exercise is not a huge income. The exposure is what we're trying to get you guys to be aware of for the opportunities that are available when you network and you market yourself to get your personal training revenue up.
Yeah, I think Group X would be a way as like a short-term sacrifice for a long-term benefit.
Mm-hmm. I mean, and there's benefits of teaching the Group X classes if you're a personal trainer. Obviously gym memberships are a perk. When I teach, my whole family gets the free gym membership at our gym,
That's a bonus.
I mean, you're going to be there anyways for yourself. So, and then you get to market. That's the big benefit.
Yeah. And then the last one here for group personal training, the small group setting, 2 to 4 participants. To give you an example, again, each pay roughly about 60% of what that individual 1 hour rate session would be. So here we give an example. So pay attendees 8 to 12 attendee can earn up to $100 per hour, or a flat rate depending on, again, the sample size, if you're in a facility, what equipment surroundings you have available as well.
All right, so if you've worked with groups before, have you ever felt overwhelmed instructing, working with different clients at the same time, making modifications for a group, queuing? We just have a quick poll to ask how you handled that.
Yeah, I know this was one of my personal, my biggest struggles was I taught one, it was 5 o'clock in the morning, which I'm just not an early bird. And then having, 30 people, how can I quickly make the progressions, regressions, and programming for so many people kind of on the fly? That was one of my biggest difficulties that I had to face.
One of the things that we've learned as a group fitness instructor is you lead by example when you're teaching the class, that you make your modifications, your students are aware of multiple ways to do it. You're not necessarily coaching them right in front.
Yeah, very good point. All right, so let's wrap up this poll and see what kind of answers we got. All right.
So most of you have felt a little overwhelmed. Okay.
And if you felt overwhelmed, don't worry, you're exactly where you should be. I think everybody goes to that phase where you feel slightly overwhelmed starting in a group. But again, hopefully today we'll steer in the right direction, get you the right education, knowledge, and know-how, so you don't feel overwhelmed the next time you approach it. So the 2 most popular settings, and Jamie mentioned this slide a little bit earlier, with group personal training and then group exercise as well. So I think the number one question that both Jamie and I face every day is, what's the difference? How do I know which one works for me? So the real difference, I guess, between the two, if we were to dive into them, is group personal training can be like anywhere from your 2 to 4 client range, more of your semi-private or semi-individualized programming. It's often seen as your boot camp. So for example, when I was in a facility, I had a group of, I had 2 groups. I had a group of 3, a group of 4, and I set it up as circuit style. So I had one station for each attendee, and we would just rotate that based on time. So we really didn't focus more on repetitions, but more time under the tension, and just rotated every so often along with breaks in that. So it was a little bit easier to manage. The movement patterns for those individuals were all very similar, along with the goals were all very similar. So it made the workout flow a little bit easier for my perspective as well. But then also the pay structure can vary. If you're in a facility, obviously work it out with your director or your general manager and see if they have any program like that, if you can jump into it, or if you can start one. And then independent, get creative, go to a park. It's really kind of whatever you want to make it as your own, boss per se.
Mm-hmm. Something just to add for the group personal training, when I'm talking about the differences between the two, I always ask my students, what kind of equipment are you using? What's your location? How many participants? These are all questions that'll help us determine which area of focus that's going to work best for you too.
Yeah. And I guess what would you classify as the biggest difference on group exercise versus group personal training?
So group exercise, you're leading from the front versus a coaching opportunity. You're more leading by example, taking the class through a pre-designed workout, setting it to a playlist or a tempo for music, and then just encouraging them to continue. It may not be high weight, it's more repetition and total body, and you're going through a pre-designed class for an hour, 55 minutes.
Okay. And would these be more, I guess, like your high intensity or cycling?
It varies. Group exercise, different modalities. You could teach a spin class, a yoga or Pilates. You could do a toning or a muscle class, M60, Tabata. These are all formats that we have in my gym right now. Group exercise, we're just going to give you a little slide here that shows you the various examples of what a class would entail. It's predictable. So it's usually a pre-designed format set in a specific time slot at your gym on a calendar, so a schedule. And this could be beneficial for you if you have a particularly hard time that you as a personal trainer have filled. You could reach out to a class that was available at that time if you're in the gym setting and offer a way to, just again, exposure and get a couple extra participants in your personal training clientele. We're also gonna see cardio kings and queens that come in. Like, that's exactly the example for one of my students. She comes to my class for cardio, and then she does a half-hour session with her personal trainer right before, and she does it 3 times a week.
Yeah, and I think for personal trainers, I know when I was full-time trainer, there's that, I don't want to cross into group X, it's a whole other realm, and it is a whole other realm, but it's awesome. Think of if you teach, as a personal trainer, if you teach 2 classes a week and each class has 30 people, and you're going to say hello to all 30 people in those classes, I think over a couple weeks, they're going to get to know your personality, know your skills, know what you're capable of, and one of them is bound to approach you and saying like, hey, like, I've been trying to accomplish this goal for so long and I'm just not getting there. Hey, I'm sorry to hear you're not getting the results. Let's schedule an assessment. Let's talk about that. Let's see how we can, take your group X classes and program around that with one-on-one sessions to help kind of get you there that much faster.
Right. And, usually like the demographics that I work with for my classes are stay-at-home moms. My classes that I teach are 10:30, right in the middle of that mid-morning. That's how I got into the gym after I had, children and tried to lose the baby weight. And then that's my target market right now. And there's a lot of women in my class that have never been exposed to personal training that would love to grow. They took a class as their first step to get into the fitness industry. And as a personal trainer, if you were there and you built a relationship or a connection, think about ways that you could help. And that's what we're trying to get you guys just to be aware. There's a whole other audience and a market out there to grow your brand.
And then that goes right to the small group personal training. So I know we mentioned this earlier. We'll give you again kind of a high level overview of some of the bullet points from it. But let's say if you meet somebody during assessment, they're like, hey, Jamie, I'm so sorry, I just really can't afford the little over $100 per session rate. Hey, no worries. Do you have any friends that might be interested in training together? Because we have an option where you can pay $50, per session if we have 3, 4, 5 people attend at one time. We're very similar, like-minded in terms of movement patterns and goals. So it creates almost that that tribe mentality, if you will, where we're coming in for a quick 30-minute workout multiple times per week. So again, just another great source of how to really maximize your time, but still maintain that coach figure as that one-on-one or semi-individualized personal trainer, if that makes sense.
When I was scheduling clients for my personal trainers at my gym, I was the first point of contact that they had. And I would have husband and wife that would come in together. The women were usually intimidated. They didn't want to work out with a trainer by themselves. They felt comfortable. I have heard feedback from personal trainers, different areas of focus. But as a personal trainer, this is what we're trying to get you educated on. How do you handle different demographics at the same time? If that's what they want to do, it's a way for you to be able to offer that.
Perfect. And we have another poll coming your way.
All right, you guys, which type of group exercise do you think best fits your style and your potential?
And so this one, we're interested to see kind of where you guys would classify yourself after diving a little bit deeper into what is group personal training with NASM, what is being a certified group fitness instructor. And again, we can definitely make sure we take care of you from an education perspective. And I think the biggest thing is a practical application. All right, so we'll give you guys a couple more seconds here. All right, so we'll wrap that up.
Nice.
All right, so majority would go into small group personal training. And for those that want to go group fitness instructing, again, there is no right or wrong answer here. I think that's the cool part about this is there's so much overlap and crossover from each one that no matter which direction you go, you're going to have success as well. So from the small group personal training with NASM, it is a specialization. So it is adding on to a company or boost up your personal training credentials. So we're going to talk about your related science of, the quick review if you are certified as a trainer from anatomy, kinesiology, biomechanics, program design. The coaching cueing is, I think, the big difference on how do you coach and cue one-on-one to one-on 4, 5, or 6. With those verbal cues are so much more important. So we'll talk about how to go through that, how to program, how to set up, what equipment looks like, and then how to go from where you are today as a one-on-one to building the business to starting those small group personal trainings and running with it from there.
If you guys have questions, again, just a reminder, you've got that 888 number. We do have our program advisors just ready to answer any questions. Most of us here are fitness professionals. We have personal experiences to help you guys out and relatability. Ask a question. We'd love to be able to talk to you guys.
Yeah, one thing, sorry, I forgot to mention this earlier, sorry to cut you off. For those of you that do want to move forward, if you think, hey, now's the time, call the 888 number again, talk to the advisor. Just so you're aware, the promotion for today that we have for you is if you are a certified trainer and you want to do either the certified group exercise instructor or the group personal training, you are going to get 30% off one or the other. Or if you feel like you're ambitious and you want to tackle both, if you purchase the group personal training, we can actually give you the certified group fitness instructor self-study program for free as well, just so you're aware of what that promotion looks like.
I wanted to talk a little bit about what's involved in the group fitness program that we offer through AFA, the Athletics and Fitness Association. You are going to cover a little overview of the anatomy, the physiology, the kinesiology, those basic exercise science concepts. Overall, here at NASM and AFA, we really want you guys to be safe personal trainers, safe group fitness instructors. We really try to get you educated on human movement and how to do it efficiently and effectively when you're leading these groups. So those are an overview that you'll see in the beginning of either one of these programs. When you're going through the group exercise certification, you are going to cover different modalities. So you'll have a chapter that's covered on different styles and formats. You'll see strength and conditioning, you'll see cardio, you'll see cycle, yoga, Pilates. These are just an example of certain formats that we do cover. And we talk about the business ethics. How do you go through and market yourself? There's a little bit on nutrition. There's a little bit on warm up and cool down. There's some information on music and how you sequence music when you're designing your class. So those are all things that you're going to find in the group exercise certification.
I recently went through the updated, a couple years ago, AFA revamped its course and is now nationally accredited. So not so long ago, I recently went through it, and I think one of the most surprising things I learned was the level of detail it goes into,
Mm-hmm.
from planning your class programming around the beats of the music with the highs and the lows and what's your rest
The
versus
tempo.
recovery rate.
Mm-hmm.
It really was, like, from a science perspective, interesting how all of that factors into kind of the rhythm, the beat, the tempo. So I think it was definitely a great program for those of you that are going to go that route. And again, same thing for the group personal training. They're both equally as great. There will be some crossover between the two, from the coaching, the
Mm-hmm.
cueing, the setup, the anatomy, the kinesiology. So again, you really can't go wrong there.
I think the group personal training is a hybrid of our group fitness instructor course as far as the first 7 chapters, but then it dives into specific coaching opportunities with groups, and you'll go into those boot camp or strength and conditioning style circuit training, things like that in the group personal training.
Yeah, and I think at the end of the day, obviously it's your choice, and we just want you to go through the thought process of everything we went through in detail and think which one is going to best suit my personality, what's going to best fit my schedule, where I'm currently located, what is, to Jamie's point earlier, what equipment do I currently have or do I have access to, but then also what one is going to allow you to get the greatest return on your investment in the quickest amount of time, so you can, again, grow your business that much more, 10%, 20%, 30%, whatever it is. All right, so the last one here, first and foremost, we just want to say thank you all for taking the time out of your day to be here with us. We understand everyone is very busy, has extremely busy schedules, so we greatly appreciate it. We are going to go through, again, the raffle giveaway of who gets that 6-pack bag. Here as well, we have the promo, so it is webinar 3. So if you do call in, please mention webinar 3 to get the deal. Again, it is if you want to purchase the group personal training specialization, you can get the group fitness instructor self-study for free. Or if you feel like you only want one or the other, you can get 30% off either program. Again, mention the webinar 3, call the 888 number. And then do we have our winner for?
Margarita Krestiva.
Yeah, hopefully
Congratulations, you won the 6-pack bag. Thank you for joining us today.
And then Margarita, somebody will reach out to you by close of business today to set up all of the shipping needs and everything to get that bag out to you as soon as possible. And then next up, we have our Q&A. So we have a couple questions that have come in through the webinar here. So I'll let you take the first one. It's AFA related.
All right, cost. So we're going to talk about our first question. Can I use a payment plan for the AFA GFI? Yes, absolutely. Here at NASM and AFA, we are trying to get you guys the education that you want, the credentials that you need or that you're looking for to grow your business. We really try to work with y'all to be as flexible as we can. And when we offer a payment plan, you can split it up to 12 equal monthly payments free. There's no interest. We don't charge you a single penny to utilize that as an option for you.
Perfect. And then the next one here is, how soon can I start teaching classes once I become certified? I think the answer here is almost a 2-part answer. If you get certified as a group personal training specialist, I think teaching classes in that boot camp style is really right away. As soon as you pass the exam, become certified, start talking to your current clients. Hey, I'm going to be expanding a branch off of my business and doing some small groups. Do you know anybody who's interested? And do a referral, program for anyone that sends somebody your way. And I think for getting certified as a group fitness instructor,
I always tell
Jamie take that
my potential instructors, take another instructor's class. Put yourself out there. If you're certified, get on the sub list. It's a way. I mean, we're coming into the holidays, and there's always going to be a need for subbing. When I first got employed in the fitness industry, I got hired at 3 different gyms and just started on the sub list. And pretty soon I was being offered classes. You get exposure. It's just a great way to grow and market yourself.
But I think even to take it one step forward, I think it's all about being proactive. If you enroll today in either the group personal training or the AFA group fitness instructor, start telling people. On average, it takes, 8 to 10 weeks, maybe 6 to 8 weeks to complete the program. Start telling people right now. Get the word out there. So when you are certified, you've already created the buzz, the excitement, the energy around it. So it puts you a couple weeks ahead of pace versus having to start right when you finish.
I would walk into an instructor's class and they would realize I was certified, and they would ask me to lead a set or come up and co-teach. Also a great way for you to expose yourself into a new class and introduce yourself, and then possibly have an opportunity present itself.
And the next question here, we kind of answered this one. How long does it take to complete the AFA Group Fitness Instructor Program and the NASM Group Personal Training? I'll talk about the AFA.
It really depends on how much time you put into studying. If you're a personal trainer and you dive into the group exercise certification, you'll see a lot of review for the health sciences. You should be very well educated in that area already, so you should move through that portion of the curriculum fairly quick and just be a good review for you. Generally, it takes students about 8 weeks to complete the group fitness certification if they spend 45 to an hour a day, 5 days a week. That's just a general timeline. With any of our programs here at NASM and AFA, we do provide you all of the content immediately and let you work through it at your own pace. There is a maximum timeline with the group fitness certification of 180 days that you have to take the exam within. Because it is a nationally accredited certification, that's our standard timeline. Again, same with the NASM personal training program, 180 days to complete it.
Really good point. And then for the NASM Group Personal Training Specialization, again, to Jamie's point, what's your background? How much time do you have available? I would say roughly the 4 to 6 week time frame. Now, the difference between the group personal training and the AFA Group Fitness Instructor is that the group personal training, you do have 1 year to complete the program and take your exam. Obviously, again, move through it at your own pace, how quickly you want to go through it. Obviously, you're going to know what time frame is going to be best for you no matter which one to make sure you're really retaining that information. Are there payment plans for small group personal training specialization? Yes, there are, very similar to what Jamie mentioned earlier.
Same qualifications, same credentials. I am getting certified as a personal trainer now through NASM. Am I qualified to do small group training once I'm certified? Absolutely. We talk to students all day long and talk to you guys about where your potential lies. Where do you see yourself going? You know, what are opportunities that you see or you're trying to reach? And when you are certified with NASM, you can dive right into this area of specialization. If you're beginning your personal training business, it's a way for you to start using what you're learning in the academics while you're studying, possibly with a husband and wife or a small group, friends and family. You know, I always tell my students, when you're going through a new curriculum, use it on, you know, friends and family or the clients that you're working with. Start applying what you learn, and it's only going to build on the value of who you are as a trainer and your credentials.
And I think another thing just to add to that, you can realistically and technically add your group personal training specialization on at any given point in time. However, if you have not taken your exam for your certified training program, you want to make sure you take that exam first and then test for the group personal training specialization, so it counts as your continued education for your recertification period. So make sure you don't take the specialization exam before the certified training exam.
If we need equipment like jump rope, should we provide them or ask a client to bring? That's a great question.
That's a good question.
I really think equipment varies based on where you're training, what your sessions are going to look like. If you're doing something unconventional, like outside or in a park, you can certainly ask the participants, here's a general list of equipment. Get a Q&A, find out what they have, if they've got anything that they'd be willing to bring, and then you kind of have a gauge and idea of what you need. If you're going to host these group sessions, that's what I would do. I would just, you know, when someone expressed interest, okay, here's what my list of equipment that I'm going to use. What do you have, and let me gauge what I need to follow up.
And I think one thing that I did is I actually taught, a couple years ago, I taught a small group when I was living in California on the beach, and we did, you know, some boot camps and stuff like that. But what I did is I just had all of them pay for the agreed amount of sessions up front, and I just took a small portion from each of those payments to allow me to get my equipment I needed initially. Then every time as they renew, I would take a little bit more, purchase a little bit more equipment. So you just keep expanding kind of time over time, which makes sense for the progressions every so many couple weeks anyway. All right, do you have any resources for assessing a large group personal training class? Good question. I don't think we don't have any set resources in either certification, but one thing, really, I guess there's kind of no right or wrong way, as long as it makes sense for the group you're training or you're working with. But also, at any point in time, whenever you talk about assessments, you want to make sure the assessment is under the same circumstances and it's repeatable no matter where you do it or how often you do it. So one of the things that I would do when I taught classes is, again, what's relevant for the goal. We would do mile runs, or I would have them do a certain movement under a certain amount of time to see how many total reps could they get done. Or maybe if they were using a kettlebell that was 12 kilograms, now they're using one that's 16 kilograms. So you just can measure progress over time. It's get creative. Do you have anything to add to that?
That's your area of expertise with group personal training.
Yeah, I think it's really just get creative. Obviously, you can do your starting weight, your body fat, your circumference measurements if you do any overhead squat assessments, because again, in small group personal training, or even a large group like this, it's not just the Monday, Wednesday, Friday, or Tuesday, Thursday you work with them. It's, okay, Jamie, here's what I want you to focus on as your homework. Here's what I want you to do when we're not together. So they will have additional stuff that you're prescribing or assigning out to continuously work on. So you can always use that from an assessment perspective as well.
Hey, just a quick question. If you guys haven't checked out the NASM Edge app, check it out. It does give you a full wide range variety of our exercise and cueing library. As a personal trainer, you get a 30-day trial for free just to see if it would work for you and your personal training business. But it might be a good way to just get that exercise library available.
Yeah, great point. Check it out. Do we have any more questions from our moderator? Nope. No more questions today. So again, thank you very much for being here today. We greatly enjoyed talking to you guys about these subjects, and we hope it helped you guys really determine the difference between group personal training and group exercise instruction and figure out what's going to be the best route for you.
Possible ways to grow your personal training business, expand your opportunities as your own personal business. And again, if you guys have any questions, don't forget we've got our 888 number available. Mention that you watched the live webinar. You get a special discount. No one else has that opportunity other than you as our audience today. Thank you again for watching.
Thanks, guys. Have a great rest of the day.